Andy Warhol came to the gigs, you know, and he invited us down to the Factory in New York to kind of hang out. Sadly, I was on a per diem of about 45 quid a week, so I couldn't buy any of his artwork. I wish I had done now. With The Look of Love, we made a video, and it's kind of like Benny Hill meets Mary Poppins, you know.
There can be you, Human League, Belinda Carlisle.
Queuing for a cup of coffee.
Yes, I mean, tell me about, so do you get on with the guys?
Virgin Radio 80s Plus.
Martin Fry, hello.
Hello there.
It is so lovely to meet you. I know you've been in before, haven't you? You're a staple on with Chris Evans and ABC. Certainly,
absolute pleasure to be here.
One of my favourite sets when you guys came in a year ago. So much to talk to you about. Did it take a long time coming up with these 10 songs? Lots of people come in and go, oh my God, it was a nightmare to pick.
I've got more decisive the older I've got, I think, yeah. And I look back. I sometimes look back on, say, these are my favourite songs from the 1980s, yeah. And they tell a story. They tell a story of me, a young Martin Fry. You should never talk about yourself in the third person. But a young man in Manchester dreaming of rock and roll stardom and then becoming a pop star, yeah.
And you did it, and you did it so well.
And the decade of the 1980s here, I mean, was just such a decade of extremes, you know, from the... I mean, I love playing the kind of these rewind type festivals today, you know, all over the world.
Yeah.
And you go down there and there's Adamant in the corner and OMD and the Heaven 17 boys are there and Belinda Carlisle and the Human League are over there.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's kind of cool because we're not always rushing to try and elbow each other person out and be number one. We're kind of a great community, and I love looking out into the audience and people come in outfits and they've compressed the whole of the 1980s. So you've got Desperately Seeking Madonna, you know, Desperately Seeking Susan, the Madonna sort of character, but they've got like it's fluorescent as well, like the kind of late 1980s, which was the Hacienda and Shoom and the whole acid house.
So much I want to talk to you about.
So it was a very exciting decade, but I hope the songs represent that.
I love the songs. Can we start with the first one, the Scritti Politti track? The track you've picked is...
Would-Be's.
Tell me
Pray
more.
Like Aretha Franklin.
What a song.
Scritti Politti are one of those unsung heroes from the 1980s, like Prefab Sprout and some of those other bands. But they had a run of hits with Would-Be's, with Absolute, with... so many great songs. Oh, Patty was a great tune.
What's The Word Girl?
The Word Girl, another beautiful song.
Yeah.
I kind of like this record so much I got jealous of it. With ABC we'd had success with A Lexicon of Love, but when I heard this I kind of thought, isn't that a beautiful record? It's an immaculate electronic record but really emotional at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'd say it has to be there in my top 10. It's one of the best records from the 1980s.
And am I right in thinking that when it came out, it actually signalled a whole new sound? You know, it was very fresh, wasn't it? Nothing sounded quite like this record.
Well, Scritti Politti, like ourselves in ABC, like I guess the Depeche Mode guys, Duran Duran, everybody was kind of going out to clubs and dancing to Chic and Sister Sledge and the disco hits of the day. No matter what they told you as well, you know, they were out clubbing and they were also coming back home and playing Joy Division and The Cure magazine and all those sort of postmodern records. So all of those bands wanted to kind of fuse those two worlds, and I think you get that with Scritti Politti. They were great dance floor tunes, but there was something else going on there too.
And how does this track make you feel now when it starts?
I still wonder how they made it such a beautiful... It's a beautiful record. It's as simple as that, yeah.
Okay, great. Next song, this is Tell Me Why You've Asked for This. So many people ask for this band and this song, but what does it mean to you? It's like an ode to Coventry, isn't it, this track?
Well, Ghost Town by the Specials really caught the moment. I was kind of around about 1981. I was living in Sheffield. It kind of really caught that moment. There was a whole generation, I was amongst them back in the early 80s, of people. I mean, unemployment was really high, so you figured if you weren't going to be like a Nicky Clark, a sort of fashionable hairdressing guy, or if you weren't going to be a successful footballer, all you had was music. It was almost like, you know, the feeling you had in Leeds and in Manchester and Sheffield and many other cities was life was tough. You couldn't really see a future for our generation, and all of that's reflected in Ghost Town, which kind of captured the moment. And I think that's the beautiful thing about music. So the Specials with Jerry Dammers, Neville Staples and Linville Golding, Terry Hall. What an incredible...
Did you know Terry?
I met Terry when he was in the Funboy 3, yeah. at Top of the Pops. Yeah.
What was he like?
Kind of a very witty, observant sort of guy. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't know him that well, but yeah, it's hard to say. He was great. He made great records. So for me, Ghost Town by the Specials really caught the mood in 1981.
Martin Fry, my guest on my 80s playlist. It's so great to be chatting with you. We spoke off air briefly, and I want to mention this again about the Hacienda nightclub, because you were there and you told me, were you there the Bernard Manning opening?
I've had some good nights in the Hacienda, like most people within a sort of 60-mile radius of Manchester, I suppose.
Yeah.
The Hacienda, I should explain, was a club that New Order opened up in 1983, I think. Opening night, for some reason they had Bernard Manning there. How would you describe Bernard Manning to today's audience?
Yeah, I mean, he was a northern, like, working men's kind of club comedian, wasn't he?
Anyway, it was a great night here. But to walk into the Hacienda, you'd been in a pub which was like a carvery, and you walked into the Hacienda, it was kind of a minimal grey, polished metal environment. It was one of the first nightclubs like that. I know a lot of places are like that now.
Yeah.
In 1983, it was like walking into a spaceship. Yeah. It was a new environment, and it developed over the 80s. Years later, they had Graham Park and Mike Pickering DJing, Nude Night, Hot Night. It was always a great place where everybody came to the dance floor. The crowd in there was mixed of kind of all sorts of different people, all sorts of different sexual preferences, musical interests, all shapes and sizes, but everybody would come to the Hacienda and have a great night.
Can I put you on the spot, Martin Fry? Am I allowed to?
Can.
Because
I might wriggle out of it. It depends.
This is actually very unkind of me, but can we play an ABC track right now? Yeah. And you pick which one you want, but we've got to feature you guys.
We got to play The Look of Love, our hallmark tune. Yeah.
You would go with this as the hallmark?
Yeah, in fact, there's a lot of Moog bass on this tune, if you listen carefully.
Okay. Yeah, and tell me about this song. I mean, because this song's so big.
With ABC, we had a whole bunch of hits, but to be able to play The Look of Love in the set, in 2023 is just a wonderful feeling. There's a bit at the end, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, where I kind of vamped it a bit, and I had to fill a blank space, and I'm going yippee-yi, yippee-yi-yi, and for some reason, it's great hearing 50,000 people shout that back at you.
Well, that was spontaneous.
Yeah, and it's kind of like there forever on the record. So, when I play shows now, it's great to hear that back.
Did you know that did you always think we are destined for really big things? Because you did kind of own the whole of the 80s, didn't you?
Well,
and you broke the US market. You know.
Yeah, we did. We were successful in America. The funny thing is, though, if your record got to number 3, you'd always think, why aren't we number 2? It's kind of terrible thing to admit.
At that time.
Because you're always moving on to the next thing. There's no time to take stock and enjoy those moments. But yeah, we were successful in America from day one. So it meant that, we went and did shows, and Andy Warhol came to the gigs, and he invited us down to the Factory in New York to kind of hang out. Sadly, I was on a per diem of about 45 quid a week, so I couldn't buy any of his artwork. I wish I had done now. I'd be a billionaire, but yeah, things like that. I mean, when you form a band and you make music, it should be about life is an adventure, so it's nice to do it with music.
Tell me about Rufus and Chaka Khan, Ain't Nobody. Yeah. This is class, isn't it? I mean, this is absolute sophistication and class.
We loved, me and Mark White were writing songs. We loved this record so much that we flew to LA to meet Hawk Wilinski, the man that co-wrote the song, produced this. He was in Rufus. Ain't Nobody's one of those tunes. If you go to a wedding, you're going to hear it, aren't you?
Yeah.
You know, it's an absolute classic. And I've always loved Chaka Khan's voice. Is she underrated? I think she's up there with Aretha Franklin as one of the finest singers.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking Annie Lennox is a great singer too, but there are so many great singers, but Chaka Khan is one of them. And Ain't Nobody was that fusion of dance floor and electronics. At the time we were Mark and myself were really inspired by Let the Music Play by Shannon.
Oh yeah.
That record, and Cheryl Lynn, Encore. It was kind of the really early days. Jam and Lewis were just starting to produce their own records and stuff, so we met them. So Ain't Nobody reminds me of a period of time when I was kind of really looking for a new musical blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
And we made an album called How to Be a Zillionaire, which was successful in America, which was very electronic. So Ain't Nobody was kind of core to that.
And that was after you went over there and you met him. Did you work? So you worked with him as well?
With Jimmy Jam?
Yeah.
Yeah, I met Jimmy Jam, and no, we never. We worked with Hawk Walensky, but we didn't work with Jimmy Jam. We met him, and our paths never crossed.
Wow.
I was always a bit jealous of the Human League. They went and worked with him and did Human later, but we were there early on. Yeah.
It's funny, as a radio man, I think this is the one record that I've played at every radio station for 26 years.
Yeah.
And it's still playing now.
That says something,
doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it still sounds great as well on a summer's day, and this comes on, and the 12-inch version of this is amazing, isn't it? Have you got many, standout videos from the 80s? It was such a decade, wasn't it, with MTV? And I always remember, Peter Gabriel, Sledgehammer, and Aha, Take On Me. Do you have a favourite 80s video? You can pick one of your own.
Oh no, I would never pick one of my own videos. Yeah, we were always out there using our maverick decisions to kind of make videos. Yeah, and if somebody told us to go right, we would go left. You know what I mean? So we start with The Look of Love. We made a video, and it's kind of like Benny Hill meets Mary Poppins. At a time when Duran Duran were in Rio, they were on the high seas doing that
on the yacht,
and that all came because we got you'd get these scripts sent to you to say this is how the video is going to look. And on one of the scripts, it said, we cut from a chameleon's leg, a lizard's leg, with a diamond bracelet around it, and it cuts across. I thought, nah, we can't have that. We're going to go for comedy.
Okay.
Rightly or wrongly, we tried comedy in some of our videos, and then went back to moody art.
Yeah.
But I'd say anytime Madonna is dancing, she's a fantastic mover. So Vogue, I think, is probably one of my favorites.
Oh, Vogue was incredible, wasn't it?
Who directed Vogue? Mark.
Wasn't it Herb
Ritts?
Yeah, Herb Ritts. I think it was. I can picture it now. It's the black and white video, isn't it? All very kind of stylistic.
I like that one. Yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Can I ask you about the 80s tour? So you go on, I know ABC, you mentioned to me earlier, and it kind of made me smile. There can be you, Human League, Belinda Carlisle.
Queuing for a cup of coffee.
Yes, tell me about it. So do you get on with the guys?
Originally, everybody was chasing the number one. Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's great running into people. Yeah, very much. And you kind of respect everybody, because after all these years, it still takes a lot to climb on a stage, stand there in the spotlight and deliver. You hit records. So, yeah, I do. I'm always pleased to see the guys in Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark. They've got a great sense of humour.
Yeah.
Or I Heaven 17 guys, Glenn and Martin, I've known for years since they were in the since Martin was in the Human League years ago, chef. Yeah, Midge, I'm dropping names here, so I shouldn't.
It's just amazing. But they're all massive artists, as you were, of course.
It's kind of, it's nice not just to meet people at the airport. You know what I mean? It's nice to hang and be able to see them perform. Yeah. And I'll tell you one thing that happened to me coming out of that thing called COVID. Let's not dwell on that.
Yeah.
I had a show in August, and I kind of in Liverpool, a festival, and I kind of drove over the hill and dropped down, and there was this group of people there, and I could hear Peter Hook was on stage performing. I think he was doing Blue Monday, and a tear came to my eye. It was like the first concert after a long time.
Loud music.
And I just thought, I love music for that reason. As even though time moves on, it's still very powerful here in music.
It's interesting you say that. Have you noticed going back on the road after that big pause? Are you getting a great reaction from people?
Yeah, I've been playing live all over the world. Yeah, I was in Frankfurt and Berlin recently, and in California, and San Francisco and Pasadena, California.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been great.
It's great to be back.
In fact, that's why we're going on the road again. We've got the orchestral tour we're going to take.
Okay, tell me about that.
Well, for a number of years, we've been playing a show with Anne Dudley conducting. Anne Dudley's a friend of mine from way back. She played piano on The Lexicon of Love, but Anne's career is stellar. She's soundtracked a lot of films, a lot of Netflix seasons. She was in The Art of Noise. But she's a great string arranger and conductor. Mm-hmm. We use the South Bank Sinfonia, so we're going to be playing a whole series of orchestral shows in February.
Oh, amazing! So these are like big orchestral versions of the ABC songs.
Yeah, a 2-hour show featuring the Lexicon of Love. So it feels right now to get back out on the road. Yeah, it's good.
Okay, great. I'll be
Plug.
I'll be asking for the dates in a bit. I must ask you about Prince. So many questions to ask. It must be very difficult. Was it difficult to pick this one song by him and put him on your list?
Yeah, I mean, I love pretty much everything Prince did. I once saw Prince and Wendy and Lisa, and they were standing in the lobby of the Sunset Marquee in LA. Yeah, I'd seen the show, but I didn't dare go up to Prince and say, "Hey, Prince," you know.
Really?
Maybe there was a nod, because I know he was into a lot of English pop at the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've seen Prince on many occasions, and I've never seen anyone play. I saw the Love Sexy tour, and he was absolutely phenomenal. You know, in the round. I've never seen. I mean, yeah, I've seen a lot of great acts, but Prince was phenomenal. Yeah, he was amongst the best.
Do you think he just had that otherworldly thing? Because they don't make many people like Prince, do they?
Yeah, it's very. He was a total. I don't know. I don't know. He kind of had a sort of talent that he could play everything. In fact, the kind of weakest thing in Prince's repertoire was probably his voice, but he always managed to kind of make fantastic records with that. You know, in the sense that he wasn't like Alexander O'Neill or Marvin Gaye as a singer, but he covered everything. Yeah, he was brilliant. But in Raspberry Beret, I kind of still wonder to this day about Old Man Johnson's Farm. The lyric tells a story about how he had his day job with Mr. McGee sacks him and stuff like that. I kind of run that as a little movie in my head every time I hear this tune. Yeah.
So it takes your mind.
Yeah, man. And Prince wrote in so many. You know, I could have said Kiss, Purple Rain. You know, Alphabet Street. There's kind of thousands of tunes he's put out.
Amazing. But this one,
Take Me With You, is brilliant as well. The string arrangement on that. But today it's Raspberry Beret.
Okay. Martin Price here. I must just ask you, so many artists that we've spoken about, obviously Prince a moment ago, other people within the era that you broke the big time have passed. You know, the George Michael, the Wham documentary recently. Does it kind of freak you out when you look at how many of your contemporaries back then are no longer with us?
Yeah, I mean, George Michael, I was talking about Robert Palmer earlier, but can you imagine if George Michael was standing in front of a microphone today? You know, he was an incredible singer. Yeah, it makes me wonder if we appreciate people while they're here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Terry Hall passed away from the Funboy 3, the specials, as we talked about, and not to get on that modern tip, but George Michael, Prince, Michael Jackson, Tina Turner. You know,
there's so many of them now, isn't there?
But then again, is it because it's a cross section of the public, people that happen to be famous? You know what I mean? But having said that, the music is still here. You know, the music will last forever. Yeah. Well, you know, that's a real tough one to answer. Yeah, I don't think the future is going to be like the ABBA animatronics type of situation.
You don't think so? Have you seen that, by the way?
No.
I hear amazing things about it.
Maybe I'm wrong.
People have said it's so like people who I know who don't really like ABBA or
if you had the Sex Pistols or Queen, I'd probably go down and watch it. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Joy Division or something, you know. Okay. But however, you know, I don't know. So it makes, I don't know, it's a real tough call, yeah. But time moves on. Yeah. And none of us are here forever, so no. Enjoy it while we're here.
Your final pick, Martin, on My 80s Playlist is a track, we were talking earlier about songs that just remain, they can be futuristic and retro, all in one joyful record. This is, tell me about this.
Has to be New Order, Blue Monday, soundtrack of my life, I don't know what it is about this music, this piece of music, it's just magical. And whenever I hear it, I can see the Hacienda dance floor. I can see, a lot of different events in my life. So I think that's the power of music, to take you to somewhere, somewhere strong.
Was this song played in the Hacienda? Obviously,
that's a good question, actually. I think it was, Rob Gretton would have probably insisted, wouldn't he? He managed the New Order at the time. You know what? I think the Quincy Jones mix was later on in 1988 when Mike Pickering and Graham Parker be DJing there, and the place would be lifting alongside all the Chicago house tunes, and they'd play in the Balearic stuff. So, but I don't know. Good question.
What is it about this track? I don't think I've heard a song like this in my life. Like this, it's unique, isn't it?
It's hard to analyse music, but I tell you something. It's a surreal piece of music, because Bernard singing the story of his life. Yeah, it's just such a powerful piece of music. Yeah. you know, that's the reality of it.
And is it true that this is like the most bought 12-inch
I don't know,
record?
actually. I bought the 12-inch.
You did?
Yeah, so yeah.
Do you remember that?
Maybe I should get my record deck out again, yeah. I did.
Have you still got a record deck at home?
No.
So here everyone's going out buying vinyl again, you know?
No. Yeah, and they keep sending me the reissue of the Lexicon of Love on half speed. I've got the Stephen Wilson Atmos mix to listen to. So if anyone's got a record deck for me, I'll see you. I'll get on eBay and buy one. We're
going to get into this new order track, but just before, I'm going to put you on the spot again. Can you tell me about the tour? Because we mentioned this earlier. Yeah. Can you tell me? So when does it start? How can we get tickets? I want to come.
February the 5th, we start in Brighton Dome, and we finish February 17th. At the London Palladium.
Oh, amazing.
In the meantime, we get the chance to go all around the UK with the South Bank Symphonia, with Anne Dudley conducting, and with ABC, my good self singing. So it's a 2-hour show of orchestral and band versions of our repertoire.
I can't wait. In fact, it's been a real thrill meeting you. I know that you've come in with Chris Evans before, and you've been on the Stall of Rock, and you can re-watch all the brilliant ABC moments here on Virgin Radio UK, our YouTube page. But just to sit down and chat with you and go through. Have you enjoyed this?
Very much so. Yeah, thanks, man. It's been really
Martin,
good.
Thank you so much. Thank you
very much.